All right, so my name is Alexis, and today I want to talk to you all about artificial intelligence, or AI. So the history of artificial intelligence stems from centuries before, around the 1300s. It really begins with something as simple as a mechanical paper machine, and stems all the way to now, where the eggheads at Tesla are making self-driving cars and whatnot. Artificial intelligence in general is just used to make our lives easier, make it a little less harder. Yet, several industry leaders and thinkers, including but not limited to Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Steve Wozniak, Stephen Hawking, they all stated in some way that a high-level AI, if implemented a little too much, will make life a little more complicated and a little more dangerous. My main claim today is that as artificial intelligence continues to reach new stages of development, it threatens to damage and complicate humanity's way of life. My justification is this: because artificial intelligence is described to be a machine being capable of mimicking human behavior, then it has the capability to completely replace humanity. Now, I don't want to put any Terminator, Skynet-esque world-ending images in your head. But I do want you to keep in mind these definitions for these two terms. The first one being for artificial intelligence. I want you to keep in mind two definitions. The first definition for artificial intelligence is this: it's the capability of a machine to imitate intelligent human behavior. The second is that AI. My apologies. AI is a branch of computer science dealing with the simulation of intelligent behavior in computers. And the second term is machine learning. Machine learning is a branch of AI pertaining to a computer's ability to learn. Now, my two supporting claims are as follows. My first one is that artificial intelligence has the potential to render human labor obsolete. And my second one will be that a machine capable of intelligent behavior is a potentially dangerous concept to implement. So let's start with my first one. Artificial intelligence having the potential to render our human race, or our human labor, obsolete. Electronic systems will likely be put in place to replace simple human labor. So let's explore a very basic, well, at least a fairly basic level of human labor. Fast food, specifically cash registers. In more and more fast food restaurants, we're seeing self-serve kiosks. Business Insider article visited places in Dublin, Ohio, a Wendy's, and a place referred to as Panera 2.0 in Manhattan. So what's the issue with this? The issue is that it takes jobs from humans. It replaces them. And because of that, they may not be able to support themselves economically. I'm not saying they're not going to be able to get other jobs, but it certainly does take away opportunities to make money from certain humans. All of which arising during a time where people want $15 an hour for their minimum wage, which is unfortunate. So then one has to ask, what's next? What other areas could AI replace humans? Let's look at law enforcement. A tech company formerly known as North Point developed an AI that could predict an individual's likelihood to become a repeat offender. The way the system works is it takes information from internet or user two, and it gives them a ranking system from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest. The numbers mean likelihood of being a repeat offender. Combine this with, say, security robots or robotic police force. As Dan Gettinger of Bard's College Center for Study of Drones says, he sees a potential growth in the market for security robots, or something like security robots. Now, it is reasonable to believe that an AI similar to North Point's could establish a link with manufactured security robots or robotic officers, and essentially replace police officers. So then the question becomes this: if they do replace police officers, how will we know that their machine learning capabilities will be up to par with actual policemen, human policemen? Which brings me to my next point. A machine capable of intelligent behavior is a potentially dangerous concept to implement. Now, why is that? That is because developer designs, even if they try to make the most perfect system on earth, it will not be perfect. It's not infallible. a LinkedIn article by Jake Ryan, the CEO of an electronics company. I don't remember the name, but he is the CEO of an electronics company. Identified several simple hijinks in AI. This will be a very simple one. At St. Mary's Mercy Hospital, they started an electronic, what's the word? An electronic database for notifying which patients were alive and which ones were deceased. So one day during a data transfer, the AI on accident sent out to Social Security and to insurance companies that 8,500 patients had been killed. Now, the cost of that was undisclosed. It was undisclosed because, well, it was embarrassing. Now, this error can only be attributed to what Ryan described as a mapping error or a coding error. Something as simple as a switch, dead, alive. That's important to keep in mind. Now, this is not nearly as complex of a system as a high level of artificial intelligence, but it serves to show the glitches occur even at the lowest levels of sophistication. Now let's look at something a little highly sophisticated. I mentioned earlier an AI by Northpoint. The problem with this AI is that when it did actually try to rank people in terms of likelihood of being repeat offenders, it actually identified African Americans as being more likely than Caucasians to be repeat offenders. And then after this happened, ProPublica, a media outlet, were given access to the AI, and they were able to study 7,000 people who had been arrested, and they found that as I stated earlier, that the Caucasians were more likely to get lower scores, but then reoffend than the African Americans were, and then less likely to be repeat offenders. Now, this could be attributed to simply being AI's early stage of development. You know, it's simply a complex idea. We don't understand it. Not even programmers understand it just yet. But this mistake wasn't simply the fault of understanding. It was a designer error, an unintended consequence that manifested itself. It's not something that just randomly, well, that was the consequence of the lack of understanding. It was just an unintended consequence. And if it's true that indeed we have markets for robots coming in and AIs that could predict repeat offenders, it's a dangerous implementation if we're going to do that. In conclusion, artificial intelligence gives us a reason to be frightened by its implementation in society. Eventual advances in AI will happen, and when they do, they will take away jobs from humans, unfortunately. And once they have, they will likely glitch out in some way, some form, some manner, and have severe unintended consequences for the people that they so-called serve. Thank you.
Yeah, we ran a little bit late. I know some of you have another class that you have to get to, so please go. This will take just a couple minutes for everybody else if you can hang on. By the way, I remembered the term that I was looking for about the extra time. Grace period. How did I have to struggle with that? All right, Alexis, the proposition's clearly identified. There's not really a preview of what the supporting structure is. I can see that there's controversy. You use the several notable tech people as demonstration that there's definitely some risk issue that's going on here. The organizational structure is not clear during the course of the speech. That's a little bit problematic. You do spend some time trying to explain assumptions here, some of which might be too complex and time-consuming and makes it an informative speech for a large chunk of time. That's problematic. The examples are mostly hypothetical. You do have the one that shows that there was a problem at the St. Mary's Hospital, and I think that you need to cite that a little bit earlier in the presentation. There's also this profiling AI thing that went on, and it was strange to me that you broke it into two parts. You mentioned it early on, and then you tell us what the risk or the harm element was much later in the process. That probably should have been put together with a more simple statement about what the potential risk was. It's 2 minutes overtime, and I'm not going to keep people any longer than that. Thank you very much. I need your outlines before you go.